Look at these numbers here. No bachelor. This is median net worth in thousands of dollars. 2016 in the United States. So 50,000. This is your median net worth. That's all of your assets, everything you own, minus your debt. Okay, including if you own a house. If you have a house, but the bank owns half of it because you have a mortgage and so on, you take the value of the house, you subtract the mortgage that you still owe, and so on and so forth. You add the value of your car, you add the value of all sorts of things, right? So, median net worth. This is median. So half of all the people are above and half are below. And here's white people without a bachelor's degree have a median net worth, meaning that half of all white people are above 100,000 in their net worth, and half of all white people are below. Without a bachelor's degree. With a bachelor's degree, it goes up to 400,000. Okay, it's a big difference. Now, here's black people. These are net worth, okay? Black, about $10,000. So look how much less it is for white people without a college degree. It's even less if you're black in the U.S. and you have a bachelor's degree or higher. The median net worth is less than it is for white people with no bachelor's degree who never went to college. And then let's look at this one, Hispanic and then other. And this is really shaped by Asians who, by and large, increasingly come to the United States with college degrees. So here's the problem, right? When you say what you just said, now, I'm going to come back on this, right? But when you say what you just said, the problem is this. Yeah, we're never going to have it equal. It's never going to really be the same. There's sort of a utopia. There's sort of whatever, right? Dudes, it's one thing for me as a white guy to talk about the utopia. Maybe like, yeah, it's never going to be perfect. I don't know. What do we mean? You know, coming back, it's not that big of a problem in the United States. Wait, not that big of a problem. Hang on. What do we mean by that? Well, compared to the past. Okay, how about not that big of a problem, but what do we mean when we look at this? Look at this. Because it's one thing for me as the white guy who might be up here, who's more likely to be up here, even without a college degree, and be up above the black or Hispanic person who has a college degree who's down here. And so it's one thing for me to say that, like, man, yeah, but you know, we're not really going to get there, and you can't really have it, and you can't have utopia, and we work hard, and this and that. But look at the difference. So how do we explain that? How do you come to terms with that? And so an argument when we go here that says, hey man, racism and discrimination is really not that big of a problem in the U.S. today against black people and brown people. It also has to account for that. And how do you account for that? So it's not that big of a problem, but what? Does that mean if you're up there? What if you're down here? Right? What if you don't have a family legacy that, generations and generations, so you just said, for example, we're beyond Jim Crow, right? We're beyond, and you would have said, yeah, we're beyond Jim Crow. Like, we're not there. We're not in that spot, right? We don't have slavery. There are a lot of things we don't have. And so clearly, yes, it's not that big of a problem. But hang on. But this is telling me, but something else is going on, that there's some kind of problem. I don't know how to resolve it, but something's happening. So what do we do? How do we make the argument now? Now how would we make the argument, right? It's not that big of a problem. How do you take this and how do you explain it away? You could not explain it away, but how do you still say it's not that big of a problem, but with this? There are a lot of people out there who would say, yeah, it's not that big of a problem. But, for example, they've never seen this. How about this one? Asian Americans report more workplace discrimination than any other group. What's the question you would have with that? Asian Americans report more workplace discrimination.
Why?
Okay, why? What else?
If I was trying to explain it away, I'd be like, okay, that means Asian workers receive more overt instances that they can report, but people, especially even some of them, because I've had a job and I bet some of them were racist, but like they knew better than to like let it show. Do you know what I mean?
And you just did the very first thing you say, which were individual examples.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So don't bring yourself in.
No, but I would use that experience to say that,
Okay.
in the same sense, white employers might be more hesitant to do racist acts against black people because they know that,
against you,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe more likely against one of your Asian classmates. Or this, right? How about, okay, but this is Asian Americans reporting that. Wait, how do we know that they're describing discrimination differently than somebody else? So how do we know that in the Asian community, they don't talk about discrimination in this way, and in other communities, they talk about it this way? And so therefore, because they're talking about it this way, they report more, experiencing more. And other communities don't report experiencing it less, but that's only because they're really talking about it differently. Or maybe this. You ready? Here's another one. Come up with your own. But here's one. Dude, Asian Americans notoriously underplay things that happen to them and overplay personal responsibility. So if someone who's in the United States of Asian cultures goes to rent an apartment and they get turned down, they're more likely to turn around and say, I did something wrong to not get that apartment. No, what I was going to say is, we live in this world where white people, we have this idea in particular that, black people are always blaming the system. No, they're not. Maybe that's just when you're in the room, they're just throwing shit out there. That's just not the case at all. They're just pointing stuff out more. Asian Americans are more the group most likely to put blame on themselves. So if they're reporting, so here, you ready for that? Think about that. Filter it through. It's self-reporting, but if Asians are reporting discrimination, it makes me go like, damn, 25%? That y'all are saying that? When y'all are more likely to say like, yeah, it's my fault and I did something wrong and I take blame and I take responsibility and, okay, I got it. Far more than upper middle class white men, I should add. And so then it makes me think the number 25% is actually probably higher. But we don't know that because it's not, we don't have these tester studies. Like we don't have a way to really lay it out. We don't know what we're looking at. How about this one, ma'am? Do you have anyone want to add anything? Are we good? You want to add anything?
Well, I'd also like to add, what's the percentage that was, proven as discrimination? Because you could report as such, and like you were saying, there could be different perceptions as to what is and isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yep. Okay, so here we go. Youth who report being bullied because of their ancestry. Asians, number one. Once again, they're reporting it. In this case, it's a little different because when they're reporting it, people are asking them, okay, here are examples of bullying behavior. ... Do you experience that? Asian youth in the United States are more likely to say, yeah, I'm experiencing that than any other group. And the bullying, by the way, because of their ancestry, not by other Asians. We still don't know. We're not 100% do you know? Because this is the yes but. What's the yes but? When I put this up there, what are the yes buts that y'all have in your heads? Who don't believe this stuff, who are like, yeah, but what about this? Or yeah, but what about that?
You could say yes, but what's the makeup of the school and what's the environment like in the school?
Exactly. Is it all happening at the same schools? Is it all happening at upper middle class schools and that's it? And so what we see is with Asians, there is a lot of discrimination, across the board, but it's all happening at these one unique schools, maybe where Asians are more likely to go. So it's yeah, all right, so now you got to see that within context, bro.
I think the focus is what our issue is. The focus that there's two sides to this argument.
Well, there are many sides to the argument.
Yeah, but instead of having a unified outlook on it, as in I don't know, what's your name on the right?
Sean.
Yeah, so the way that Sean described, he was oh, everybody hates racism and everybody hates this. It's just the way that he described it is kind of proving the point that it's almost not believed, even though we all know it, But if we actually had a unified outlook on it, as in racism is bad and we should prosecute people that do it, kind of like, killing people is wrong.
Yeah.
It still happens, but we all have a unified outlook that it should not be done.
Yeah.
You know
okay,
what I mean?
Yeah. So the problem.
I think if we could come to terms of having a unified outlook, then maybe we could get to that same spot.
Many times, let's just take bullying right here. Who's going to know if Asian kids are bullied more than anybody else? Like, who's going to know that? Well, the sociologists who study it, right? Teachers. I might be a teacher in a school, and I might be like, it seems to me that the Asian kids are getting bullied more than other kids, but I don't know. I'm not really counting. I'm like, whatever. The parents of Asian kids are more likely to have their child come home and say, hey, I was bullied today. I was bullied again. So-and-so was bullied. My friend, who's also from China, let's say, is bullied. And so the parents are maybe talking to each other and saying wow, it just seems like our kids are getting bullied, but they don't know other kids are getting bullied, right? So the problem is nobody knows what's really happening unless we start looking at the data. And so we can all say yeah, racism is bad, discrimination is bad, this is a problem. But if we're not looking at what's really going on, none of us really know if there is a problem. I wouldn't know this. I didn't know that Asian kids are more likely to be bullied until I read it. So it's okay, so now I have no reason to fix the problem. You know what I mean? I have no reason to look at it. Go back here. White people. Dudes. Y'all may feel yeah, man, I'm getting hurt, I'm not getting ahead, and I'm trying to rise up, climb up the ladder to mobility, and I want to get a job, and there's all this stuff out there, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get a job. Imagine that you're black or Hispanic, just for a hot second. And you're yeah, I don't want to listen to black people and Hispanic people because they're all complaining about getting a job, but I want to get a job. I'm imagine being them. How about that? Just put yourself right there for a second. Ethan's no longer white. Ethan's going to be in the shoes of just some average, whatever, black or Latino guy down here. Now, bro, you got something to complain about. Okay, you can complain earlier, but dude, complain within the context. So the issue is that we often, we're arguing about the fact of what it is, and we don't know, and people are in denial because we all see ourselves as well, here we go. Oh, but my kid gets bullied too. Yeah, my kid gets bullied too, the white kid. But the fact is the white kids are getting bullied a heck of a lot less than the Asian kids. So what do you do about that? We're not all the same. It's not the same.
I was kind of having a thought earlier whenever you were talking about it. Well, two thoughts. One, you kind of have to go off of more than just 1 year for the data to see if it's trending going up or if it's staying the same. But I was also thinking of and this is kind of specific, but while you were talking, I was thinking of a question of what if you were stripped of everything that you have, all of your assets, everything that your family has given down to you. Yeah. From past generations, whatever. I was thinking of what if you were stripped from that and then just, moved locations and just dropped somewhere, and now what do you do? Do you starve and die, or do you figure it out and try to rebuild, or?
No, let me actually ask a better one, right? Because you just walked into some kind of slippery slope.
So what I'm saying is if you think of the slavery ending, and they take this group of people and they just drop them at locations and say, hey, figure it out. I mean, what do you expect them to do? Starve and die, or do they figure it out? And I think that's why that graph shows white people having so much more, is because they have hundreds of years of past generations giving down to the, So I think a real solution would be if you, traced back to their families, and actually gave them something, which it's hard to say that, the government would do, but if you really wanted to make things right, then why would you not compensate somebody that you took everything from?
Dude, exactly. Or why not compensate for, when we think about compensating people for the impact of historical. So yeah, if, for example, we took everybody in this class, we stripped everything from us, and we put us all on a new island somewhere, I don't know, like Madagascar, nice comments, by the way. We put ourselves like on, I don't know, just some island, and we just started over, there would be no racial hierarchy. Some people would rise to the top, and some people would sink to the bottom within a couple generations, and it wouldn't be based on race. It would be based on people who were most likely to want to go out and make things happen, or whose relatives wanted to do that.
I'll say something real quick on that income chart, which is that it's like, I guess some people are thinking that's probably because of racism or discrimination, but it could just be because of environmental factors, where certain groups happen to be born in certain areas that are better off, that have better schools, better opportunities, better jobs.
Yeah, the issue is that, right? So let me respond to that. Yes, and when you study how much of a head start and what people did in this country, like white people in particular, did to ensure that they had a head start and that they handed stuff down to their kids and they ensured that they were like moving up here, it makes so much sense. Of course, people are ahead.
I just wanted to comment on what I think Sam said about like how inequality doesn't really have to do with like race. It's more so like location. Location is.
Well, hang on, I didn't say that though. I mean, I'm putting that out there as ideas, right? It has to do with lots and lots of things.
Yeah,
all
and I
coming
also
together.
feel like to add on to what he was saying over there about,
Brian.
generation. Yeah, Brian was saying over there, like generational wealth creates that sort of gap, and like you can't just ignore that gap because it's just going to continue the way it is. So I feel like the only way to fix that gap is education, because even like it says, Black people with like a bachelor degree are still all the way down here, because once you get a bachelor degree, you still have to pay for the loans because your parents didn't have like the money to put you through college. So I feel like
and even education, man, like education is all, dude. Who controls the education system in the U.S., my friend? People with
people
power
in
and wealth,
politics and people in politics are usually one sort of group with the one sort of interest.
and people with more power and wealth. And people with more power and wealth are going to set
Gonna
up a
keep that
system that their kids are going to operate equally with other kids. No, man, they're going to set up a system in which their kids have the advantage over poor kids. Because like, I don't want my kids to have to compete with a whole range of poor kids. So education isn't necessarily the answer either.